buy with Smitty J. I'm taking it back. We're going to head over to the analyst desk, in fact.
I knew it was going to happen. Poor Trevor, so set up, but no problem. We're in the post-game lobby here with Odoamne Verius has joined us as well. And Crepo is still here, and we're going to start by...
That sounds like so bad. And Crepo is still here.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way. Definitely not. I just wanted to, you know, put attention on the fact that Verius joins and Odoamne is also still here. So let's talk about League of Legends. Start by taking a look at that last series, Giants versus Origin. They just straight up 2-0'd Origin Giants, and you know, I want to say Origin underperformed mostly, but that would be taking it a little bit away from the Giants as well, because they just had to step up and take it. But Odoamne, why do you think Origin dropped the ball this hard, and where were the chances for Giants?
I don't know. Maybe their just practice this week was bad, but they looked really shaky. They didn't really look like they had a clear game plan. They played good. They had good plays, but they just kind of kept throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing. So I don't really know what happened with them this week.
I think the phase where they were clearing out Scuttle Crab with like amazing and Hybrid together, setting up a Baron like 35 minutes into the game, and their solo laners were at the towers handling minion waves. Like what Odoamne was saying, like, why are they at the Crab right now? Like, these guys are pushing out their side lanes, so you should really work as a team and you can't overextend. Those are the things that shouldn't happen. And then like Expeke getting caught out in the end, it kind of just sums up the series for me.
Yeah, we keep calling it out, but obviously it's symptomatic for what has been happening. You did want to take a look at an early game replay, a fight around the blue.
So in the, I think this was the back end of a lane swap where Soaz had a really good freeze. So we're keeping it paused right now because look at the situation here. Smitty J is frozen off this wave. Amazing is a level up on his jungle counterpart, and this is the setup for Origin to really make it work. And look at where Expeke is right now on the minimap and how this play kind of goes out. Amazing does something really weird here at the end. Like, he goes back to his original location somehow, but in the end, they still win out on this play despite Knight joining in, because it's a really good move here from Origin. Everybody's collapsing, and this already should have just been the game-winning play. They have a freeze that sadly now gets broken. I think that's the biggest downside of this play. Odoamne, would you have maybe played to just preserve the freeze, or do you think this like going for triple kill here is the right call?
I think it's a lot better to just go for the gank there, because you have level advantage on your jungler, so you have level 6 power spike, so it's just easy to abuse that. And the wave was in a really good spot, so you just go for the gank, and then you just, worst case scenario, you just have your jungler push with you, so you get control back again, because if you push it all the way to their tower and then it comes back to you, you can repeat the play and freeze again. So I think the kills are a lot better, and the fact that you just broke the freeze, it doesn't really matter, because you got 3 kills and then you can snowball the game, because everyone on Origin was involved in that kill. Even the support got there, even Expeke got there, so everyone got assist and they got XP from that kill, from those kills.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we highlight that replay, despite why we're showing this play from Origin because Giants won, is because Smitty J still got back into the game. The next play was also just Origin being proactive while Giants were still catching up from that play. Somebody was in the top lane farming, Origin went in somewhere. This is much later, but Origin was continuously in the lead, but then somehow they let that slip all the time, and Giants, they were very tenacious in these fights.
Yeah, they definitely were, and I would like to turn the attention to Sunstar a bit, because he always catches so much flack, but now 2 games in a row, last week as well, he's been doing well. So is all of that flack deserved, or is it just a better meta for him right now?
He does seem to be playing pretty well on the utility AD carry of Ashe. Landing those arrows, setting his team up for success, and trying to find those picks seems to be the way to go for Sunstar right now. As long as they can keep putting him in a similar position as to what OG have been trying to do with Peke, which is give him a utility AD carry and just let him scale to the late game. That seems to be a strategy that's working nicely for Giants.
Yeah, and here as well, the key arrow hitting because Smitty J in the bottom cancels the teleport. Giants working as a team, and like Origin, yeah, they're rushing into some decisions, then they feel a step behind from a team with so much experience. We had the Soaz feature, we have Expeke stepping in. These mistakes, I don't care if Expeke gets caught out like in a 2v2 or if he's holding AD carry versus mid in the mid lane and he underestimates the damage from an Azir. I don't really mind that, but late game, like, no champion should be in that position where he was in top lane. Not even a mid lane should have been there, in my opinion.
I think it's just a risk, because at that point they had what? They had Baron and 3 inhibs down, so you need to push out that side wave. You need to take a risk on the side wave to push the minion waves fast enough so you have some breather, because they're gonna push in on the other.
They just held off like 3 waves for like 10-15 minutes, so they were doing
They could bank on that. The Giants is gonna keep repeating the same mistake and lose, and managed to come back in the game, but I think that's a risk he took, and I think it was a really poor one. He could have pushed it out closer to the base, but I think at that point he walked so far away, even without minions, so he just tanked the wave while he was trying to push it out. So I think it was a bit too overextended there, but I think the idea was good. You have to do something like that in those situations because you really need that breather room, because once those 3 waves come crashing in at the same time, the game will be soon over.
It's the feature curse. Whenever we highlight a player, they don't do well in the subsequent
Poor
series.
Vizichachi when the chess feature came out.
Yeah, unlucky about that. Player of the game in this one, Verius Knight. I know you'll be happy to hear it. I keep jumping it on you, but it is someone that we looked at, and he has also consistently performed for Giants, especially also in those late game team fights where it matters.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's been stepping up, and this is something that we've been saying about Knight for a long time. He's definitely a player that has the potential. His team around him just needs to set him up for success, and so far he really has been doing it. He's been showing a lot on the Azir, and Lissandra, he's been able to make those plays.
Yeah, some good plays from Giants, but overall the series wasn't very inspiring. Connie, who does stats for us here, gave me a stat, says 34 minutes average game time, week 1, EULCS. 37 minutes average game time, EULCS. 39.48 seconds, minutes rather, and seconds. Average game time in the ULCS in week 3. Is that a sign that it's getting worse, or what's going on?
I mean, we're just making up for what we're lacking best of 3. I think our best of 3 just that tiny bit longer.
Fine. No, what do you make of it?
I don't really know. It might be just because I think EU teams are on a learning curve right now. They have bad weeks and good weeks, and I think this is all just part of the process to just get to a better level as teams, because I noticed some throws here and there most of the time in the LCS, and I don't really know why. I think teams just do more mistakes overall, but I don't think it's because of the meta, because of different champion picks or whatever, because it didn't really change that much, so it should stay somewhat consistent, but I think it's just like this week was a bit shaky. There were a lot of long games and a lot of like stompy games as well.
Yeah, there were. In the game of Schalke up versus Rocket, Schalke did pretty convincingly. They had a 2-0 victory over there, which must have been a relief for the fans. Obviously, this is Vitality. And we were looking at Gilius a lot in that series, and we'll get there they are. And he stepped up as well now, and you were casting that series. So give us the breakdown, Verius.
So this game was very much about Rocket in game 1 having a phenomenal early game. During the first 15 minutes, this team actually had a gold lead for the first time in this split.
Yeah, I loved it. They drafted aggressive lanes. They went for it. They even went to the point where they were over-aggressive, and I didn't mind it a single bit because they were diving and supporting the enemy base, and at least they were tackling their issues. Now they need to curve it down, find the right moments to be passive, the right moments to be active.
Yeah, that was certainly the case in game 1, and to be fair, Schalke had a really good poke comp that they had drafted, and it did work out well for them. They did execute it properly, and they were able to close out that game in a pretty long-winded fashion. But moving on to game 2, it does seem that Rocket tend to fall back into their old ways, where they just go back into this very passive playstyle, waiting for Schalke to make mistakes, and they end up getting punished for it.
I think the Echo pick, it was last pick on red side, was, in my opinion, utterly horrible there. Oduwamna, what's your take on Echo in the current meta? It doesn't seem to like work that well for me anymore.
I think he just got nerfed too hard. Let's say he would have got the damage nerfs, but the passive would have stayed the same. I think he would have still been a really good champion, but that passive change is way too much. It just destroyed his core strength that made him strong, that sticking potential, that he can just proc the passive and slow everyone and just get the movements before himself and just keep on chasing, but that just got changed on this patch, and I don't know why some teams still prefer to pick it. I think it's a really weak pick overall right now.
And especially into Trundle, it sounds like a horrible matchup to me. I don't see how he's going to win those trades.
Well, before it used to be okay because you just proc the passive and then you run. But again, when Trundle gets some levels and some items, he's just going to push you out in the lane. But it used to be okay back when Echo was strong. But right now he's just too weak, so he's just going to roll over and die against Trundle.
What about your Rumble? Obviously, we know it's a favorite pick of yours. You tried it yesterday, but it seemed to not really work out.
Well,
am I triggering you?
It wasn't because of the fix, so like no matter what I would have played, I would have went 1-7 again, so it didn't really matter. But
it doesn't help if your bot lane goes.
No,
obviously.
But I think Rumble is okay. It's just he's a really strong pick. He has really good strengths, and he doesn't really have that many weaknesses. But it's just, let's say his biggest weakness is you need to draft around him, and he's not versatile. He brings damage and a bit of CC and a lot of zone control to the team, but you need your support to pick for the Rumble comp. You need your jungle to pick for the Rumble comp. So he's not that versatile. He's really restricted to what your team can draft.
I think you can go for that in the current meta though, where top lane is shifting lower in the draft as opposed to maybe a couple months ago or even at MSI it was like way higher. It was like first pick. Right now we've seen a lot of teams just like lost picking top lane.
All right, let's take a look at our next series. Splice versus Fnatic. Fnatic absolutely on a tear these last 2 days. 4-0 overall. Odawamna coming into the day, they were actually the second place team. What do you think of Fnatic right now?
I think they improved a lot. They last week, even though we beat them, they were still good, and I think they're on an ascending curve. I think they're playing better and better, and I think they're gonna solve most of their issues and just keep getting better.
Yeah, Fnatic showed that they were at least a level ahead here of Splice. Splice was in 4th place coming into the weekend. I think they've improved a lot too, but they still need to bridge that gap. But that's fine for where they're at as a team, and they've also shown some progression. So I'm actually happy with the way that kind of the series went out.
Yeah, definitely. Spirit got player of the game twice in that one, and it was, yeah, quite interesting as Trashy was on the desk yesterday and was speaking highly of the aggressive style of Spirit, but that he would be able to do something against it. But Spirit actually dominated this game.
Yeah, at one point he had like the equivalent of the Flame Horizon, over
Yeah.
100 CS up over his opponent as a jungler, 200 versus 100. That is incredibly impressive.
Yep, definitely. Sorry, I just got distracted for a second.
Yeah, somebody buzzing into your ear. And then game 2, it was more of the same. Honestly, if everyone on that Fnatic, untouchable. This is one of those comps though, if Fnatic start losing, everyone's gonna like, oh my god, Daylor, where's the hard 60? Why aren't you drafting a comp that relies on the snowballing? And then everybody would hate it. But since they won, it was a really good comp, and Fnatic is a really good team. So that's how analysis goes.
Yeah, we got to talk a lot about that. On the side of Splice, maybe a clear line, Odawamne, between 1, 2, 3 and the rest of the league. How big is that gap?
I think it depends, because the lower teams can have a good day and manage to snack a win off of the teams and maybe get a tie or even a win, but I don't necessarily think it's that big of a difference. I think the bottom teams can improve and get somewhat closer to the level of the top 3 teams, so I think they're close, but...
Are they closer than usual? Because they're always technically close, right? I feel like in Spring Split, maybe there was more of a chance of an upset. Right now, it does seem that H2K, Fnatic, and G2 understand the game to a deeper level.
Yeah, I think that in Spring it was definitely a lot closer, and now I think it's a bit bigger. I think the top 3 teams are kind of a lot better than the bottom 17, just because...
Bottom 6 plus unicorns.
Yeah, because, for example, in that game where Fnatic had a comp without CC, if they're smart enough and they know their win conditions and how to play that comp, it's easy. Because, for example, let's say they have no CC comp, and if the enemy team wants to hit a tower, then that's your engage, because pretty much they're overextended. If they want to contest an objective, that's your engage. So you can work around having no CC if you have strong picks with damage, and you just need to use whatever you can to get your weaknesses out of your comp.
All right, but Fnatic on track of 4-0. Moving on to the next series is the one you guys played over in the studio, H2K versus Vitality. And of course, Verius, you casted this one as well. So before we get to Odawamne, what were your impressions of the series?
It looked like that H2K just had the superior draft in both games. Whether that was a result of Vitality drafting poorly or H2K drafting well is up for debate. But either way, H2K getting standard lanes, I feel like, was the big thing in Game 1, simply because the Ashe Zyra that Freeze and Vander pulled out in the bottom lane was absolutely horrible for Vitality to deal with. And just off the back of that 2v2, they were able to gain a lot.
Odawamne?
Well, we didn't really aim for getting 2v2 lanes, because right now it's just a 50-50. They blind swap or you blind swap or whatever. You just pick a lane. So I think we were equally comfortable with either 2v2 or 1v2. I think our draft was a bit better because we banned Olaf and Irelia, so we took out, let's say, 2 top lane power picks that he's really comfortable on, and we picked a champion that is like really good against whatever else is left. They opted to go for the Fizz, and it should have been... If he gets Snowbally, it's really good against Gnar, but he didn't really manage to do that, so I think our draft was better just because we had more engage and their comp was kind of reliant on snowballing early game, and our comp was perfectly fine just farming and waiting for the mid game.
What do you make of Cabochard's performance so far this split?
So far this split, I think he played okay. He had really good games on Olaf and Irelia. He managed to carry some games, but I think in today's series he was a bit underwhelming. His picks didn't really work out that well, and he didn't really manage to get that many roams off because we had good vision and good communication, so he couldn't really make his usual plays. But I think he did okay this split.
So after Odawamne, of course, who's the best top laner in the LCS?
Oh, this is a hard one.
Or name 2. Like, is there anybody that you have like issues against his lane or that is outsmarting you in certain aspects? You say, okay, this is where I learn, or is it just no? Okay,
No.
that's
Wow.
fine.
Okay, settle then. Something else we have to settle. Probably made a tweet before your series. 1,000 retweets, and I insta-logged Ziggs for Ryu. It got like 1,031 retweets. I don't think it's fair probably to play with our hearts like that. What's up with that? Oh, I mean, it could have been a really long game though then, but...
I think he just didn't expect it to happen, but I think he cleared it up and he said it was a cat on keyboard. So
Cat on keyboard.
it definitely wasn't him. So
Since when did HTK get a cat? Because I visited the gaming house quite a while ago. There was no cat present there.
I mean, we had the cat, we lost it. Okay, not really. We didn't have a cat.
Oh, the guild card.
It's
Emo.
probably a pathological
The
liar.
Z on, what was it?
Zed on Worlds.
In Worlds,
you
if we
insta-log?
play SKT, we
Does he have a
insta-log
habit?
Zed. What
Does
is
cornflakes
this?
disappear and nobody knows? Is it
He,
probably?
he always tries to hype people up and be like, hey, we're going to play this, we're going to play that, and then we just don't play it, so everyone's sad. So he's just a really bad man.
Overall, still happy with Probably though?
Yeah, I'm really happy with Pro. I think he's really good, and I think he just keeps getting better and better.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the standings. It does show that Probably has been doing well. A third of the summer split is behind us, and HUK solid in that top 3. G2 Esports, they 2-0'd the Unicorns of Love today and are in first. And then Fnatic also in that top 3, all 1 point apart. So this is very interesting. How much do you read off the standings 3 weeks into the split with the new point system and the best of 2 system?
Well, the point system is so weird. Yesterday we were 2 points ahead, and then we got a draw, and someone else got the win, and then we dropped like 2 spots, and I was like, oh, how did that happen? But
It's because you gotta beat those teams, Orwane.
yeah, we just tied too much. So I think it's okay so far. The system is, I'm really happy with it. Playing more games is always better, and I think the standing just like reflect what's the reality in new LCS right now.
Yeah, a strong top 3, and then the rest a bit behind. Vedius, who is your tip for a team that you think might rise into that top 6 and possibly contest that top 3?
Giants. No, to be fair, I think...
I mean, they won today. Let's not...
To be fair, I think that right now the standings are what we're likely to have at the very end of the split. I think it's a very clear representation with the middle of the pack, top 3 and bottom 3. I think the big fight will usually be between Vitality and whether or not they break from 7th into that 3rd through 6th or 4th through 6th spot. But I think we'll see how that goes.
Will we see H2K in the final of the playoffs this time?
Hopefully, yes. I thought we were gonna make it last split as well, but
And will you choke again?
maybe. I just hope we don't choke again.
Yeah. No, I think HTK has a good chance of making it. Any of these top 3 teams. It's the same like last split, like 3 teams vying for those 2 spots. As for what's below it, I think it's dangerous to be like, you know what, I think it's going to play out this way, because Europe has shown a tendency of a couple of these teams really improving, especially in a split with double the amount of games, considering a lot of these teams didn't have the most optimal practice before the split. We harp on it all the time, like no boot camps. There is so much room
It's their own fault,
for
though.
improvement and progression now during the split. Like, if you look at the talent on some of these teams and how it's being misused with some good coaching, which some teams are also lacking in my opinion, we could see the standings go like any direction.
Do you have any specific examples in mind?
I have a lot of specific examples, but we'll leave that for another
You
time.
don't want to talk about that right now. Okay, also a small announcement as well. Next week, we have a surprise. We're going to dial in on the center of Summoner's Rift, and here is a taste of what's in store.
Just to give kissing the moose. Wow! Exile. This man's on fire. He just needs one more round of cooldown. Flash forward. Distortion.
And a zap and a pew. Fox gets the kill.
Attention towards the mid and Nuke Duck. True to his name.
Perks, the triple kill. What? The quadra kill coming in.
Today, Featherman will find him and he will kill him. 2-0 to Fnatic.
But it's an ace, a quadra kill for Ryu.
And pick up that kill, double kill, triple kill. Fnatic looking for the final one for the quadra.
Easy triple pickle from Betsy.
Power of Evil could be the deciding factor on this flat.
There we go. Awesome trailer. Mid lane week. Next week, keep an eye on eu.lolesports.com because we'll have a lot of awesome content created by the EU team coming out in the coming week. You have a sneak peek. Is there anything you're looking forward to? Because you know everything we have in store.
Just EU mids, man.
EU mids, man. Well, we're going to have a lot of stuff also talking about the history of them, a lot of discussion, and your favorite EU mids on the desk as well. So a lot of cool stuff coming. Mid lane kicks off with Schalke 04 versus G2 next week and Vitality versus Giants. And later in the day, Fnatic will take on Origin, while Roccat and the UOL go at it in the LCS studio.
Final match is actually very interesting for me. Spice versus H2K, 1 spot apart here. I feel like Splice can take a game against you guys, Ottawamna. You're still in my books favorite, so I'm expecting a 2-0 from you, so don't slip up.
Well, hope we won't, but maybe they can win as well, so we never know.
I think it'd actually be an interesting match.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting matchups, and I feel like we've seen a lot again this week. Like Roccat we were looking at, and then they didn't have a good week again. The Unicorns of Love really have something to make up for, so very interesting for next week.
Yeah, I was quite excited for Fnatic versus OG initially, but after today's performance from OG, maybe not so much, but they still have a week to fix some of the issues that they had today, so it could still very well be quite the tense match.
And the historical storylines, of course, otherwise you just fall back on that. In any case, if you're itching for more LCS today, though, you are in luck. The North American LCS goes live at 2 a.m. Central European Time. It's in 2 hours and 15 minutes with a marquee best-of-3 between Cloud9 and TSM. And then we'll see Team Liquid go up against Phoenix 1. Cloud9 or TSM?
TSM.
TSM?
TSM.
Yes.
Cloud9.
Cloud9, yeah. I feel like I only want to say it because you can go TSM.
No, they're playing very well, and Bifrost is an absolute monster.
True.
Really happy with the way he salted in. What I like the most about him is like he makes a play, and he might fail, and the next phase doesn't care. Goes for another play, just makes game-winning plays in a roster with that talent. Like if you have to play with people like I was gonna say Peter, but Doublelift and Bjergsen, like to go in between. I'm not gonna say egos, but just establish names and just say like, no, this is my time to shine. Very impressive.
Yeah, and we also need to get some closure before we go from a happy couple. We had, of course, the marriage proposal earlier. Snuckle, Muffins, and Suzanne. He said yes. Yay!
Yay!
Awesome stuff. Very cool of those guys to, well, do this on air. You know, it could.
I mean, thank God he said yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, we were preparing this, and it's like, okay, guys, what are we going to do? Get a picture, we'll slot it in here, and then what if he says no?
It's actually a very interesting story. They met through League of Legends. I don't know the details, so then Suzanne approached us to, well, pop the question. So very, a lot of luck to that couple, and hope it's a beautiful wedding. You can invite us, of course, as well. And for us now, it is time to sign off. Thank you, Ottawamna, for lending some expert analysis
for having me
today.
It was fun.
And congratulations on your performance this week. And we'll see all of you back here next Thursday for more of the European LCS.